Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is me, Alan from BluStreet Exotics, checking in again for another information podcast that we're going to be shooting. Got a lot of stuff happening for 2023. This is our first official podcast for 2023. So, a lot of people have brought up the topic of how come I don't really rent cars on Toro. And I'm going to go into a little detail about why we kind of do, but 99% of our business is not on it, and why I don't like the platform, and why I think a lot of people get a false sense of comfort from the platform. I'm going to speak about this a couple of different times. This probably is not going to be my only episode or podcast that I drop on the topic, but I definitely wanted to shed some light onto why Blue Street doesn't really rent on Toro. I'm going to really kind of focus on the negatives, not really the positives on it, because I really do think that Toro is a race to the bottom, and I'm going to give shed some light on it and explain what I mean by that. So I guess the title for this video will be Toro, the race to the bottom. That'll be the name of this video. Turo is a great platform for many reasons, in the sense as in you are able to get insurance backed by Toro when you rent your personal vehicle or vehicle registered to your company. And that is one of the main benefits of Toro. It is also a great way for you to start to develop some clientele, which is very helpful if you already don't have your own organic clientele list, because they will go out there and sift and and find some clients for you. The issue is you really have no control over those clients. It is very hard to, through Toro's, I guess, platform, develop a sense of community, develop a brand for yourself, and it is also very difficult to kind of maintain what you are doing with those customers, as far as like if you want to run your own promotions, if you want to run your own sales, if you want to give them a heads up on new cars that you're buying. Toro doesn't really give you on their platform a way to be able to do that. You know, Toro obviously has to make their profits, which makes sense. They're a business, they have a business to run, and they take their percentage, but you have a no way to build your own brand. I'm huge into building your own brand. I'm huge into building a brand, and I just don't feel that Toro allows you to do that. Here's another issue: you have absolutely no control over your marketing. So let's just say, for example, it's slow. You want to be able to push cars. You want to run sales. You want to run deals. You want to run promotions. The only thing that Toro really allows you to do is offer free delivery, which I feel like is a negative, because obviously, depending on how far you're going, that delivery can be expensive. I think a lot of people look at Toro and just list a car online and think that that is a business. And obviously, if you have 15, 20, 25 cars, yes, it could be considered a business, but it's kind of a business that you have no control over. Example: what happens if Toro's app freezes, which has happened? How do you get bookings? What happens if Toro is making mistakes in their platform, which has happened? I've seen it happen where you register your car in a certain category. We had a Porsche 911 Turbo. We listed it on Toro, and for some odd reason, Toro didn't give us the option to mark that car as a automatic transmission. Yes, people are going to argue it was dual clutch, but I'm talking about you being able to put a car in drive, and that is all. And it only allowed us to mark the car as a manual car, which means like a 6 speed or a 5 speed or even a 7 speed with a clutch and a manual transmission. Our car wasn't manual. So a lot of customers that were trying to book that car, their fear was, hey, am I booking this car? I don't know how to drive manual, or is there an automatic mode? And Toro didn't allow us to fix that. Their platform didn't have that update in it to allow that to be fixed, so that people knew that it was not a manual car and that it was an automatic car. Things like that kind of bother me with Toro, that their customer service is very, very solid in some aspects, but when it comes to trying to customize exactly what you have for sale, you get bunched in with everybody else. So, talking about a 911, Porsche, there's a million different variants of a 911. There's Carrera 4S, there's 911, there's 911 Turbo, there's 911 Turbo S, there's GT3, there's GT3 RS, there's GT2, GT2 RS. It gets unbelievably, there's Targa. It gets unbelievably complicated. And the price points can vary up to anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000, depending on which 911s you're talking about. And when you go on Toro, there's no feature that allows you to specifically select exactly what you're looking for. Like, you can't. There's no search box that says looking for a Porsche 911 Turbo GT3 or a Porsche 911 Turbo. It just bunches all the 911s together. And if your price point is higher because maybe you have a more premium model, which is what we do here at Blue Street all the time. It's very rare at Blue Street I'm going to get a base model. It's very rare at Blue Street that I'm going to order a car that is the bottom of the barrel in spec, like a very weak package. We try to do the complete opposite and get the top packages and get the best of the best, because obviously we want you guys to experience that car in its entirety. So now if I have a 2023 Porsche 911 Turbo S with all the options, those cars could come almost to $250,000, $300,000. And there could be a guy on there with a 2014 911 Turbo. It could be a Porsche 911 Carrera. It could look good, and it could be one third the price of what I'm listing mine for, and I get bunched in next in the same category as that guy just because we both have a Porsche and because it's a 911. You want the best of the best, and Toro's just going to offer you just the most basic of stuff, which to me is very, very, very frustrating. That they're allowed to do that. My biggest problem with Toro, hands down, biggest problem, the race to the bottom. And I'm going to try my best to elaborate on that in detail so you guys understand what I mean. Imagine, I'm just going to use a Cadillac Escalade. Let's just say it's me, the person watching this video, and 5 other people. There's 5 Cadillac Escalades, the exact same spec, exact same price, exact same year, and the exact same condition. And I'm just going to say person 1 through 5 just to make it easy. Let's just say I'm person 1, mine is the most expensive at $700. And then person B has this for $600, person C has his for $500, and so on and so forth. And this keeps going down $100. Now, just because something is cheaper doesn't mean it is better. But Toro does this thing where it promotes you to lower your prices to be more competitive. They don't care about your profit margin, because as long as the car gets rented, they make money regardless. But you, as somebody who's trying to run a rental car company or just be profitable on Toro, are not competing with all these other people. And you have absolutely no communication with these people to even say, hey, listen, there's 20 of us in this area that have the same car. Let's keep pricing similar so that we're making, top profit. What Toro does is let you know that there are people kind of near you who have, their cars for better prices. And even more frustrating, they tell you what they think the car should go out for. How Toro does their algorithm to tell you what they think a car should go out for, to me, blows my mind. How people have $100,000 cars on Toro that are renting for $100, $200 a day, to me is unbelievable and doesn't make any sense. Because cars that are that price should not be that cheap. It's not a profitable thing. Cars depreciate, cars get miles, they get damaged, they get into accidents, and they lose value. So that $100,000 car, the minute you start renting it, is no longer going to be worth $100,000. Very obvious, which when you go into business, you know those things. You expect that to happen. So for Toro to think that $200 is acceptable for a car that's $100,000 plus, which is a good spec Escalade these days is going to cost, which many people have paid $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over a sticker for, and Toro thinks that an acceptable price range is low 200s. You can't even go to Enterprise or Hertz and get a Tahoe, but you can barely get a Tahoe or a Suburban for $200, let alone a fully loaded Escalade Sport Platinum. It just blows my mind that Toro thinks and sets up these parameters in place that you should be posting your car for. What does that do? It creates an environment of a race to the bottom, meaning we're not all fighting against each other just to get a deal, and instead of being profitable. One of the biggest mistakes made in this business is people do not price cars to be profitable. They're happy just making their payment. I'm going to say this and it's going to hurt some feelings, but it is the truth. If you are in this business just to make your payment, you do not belong in this business. I say that proud. I say that clearly. I say that because I want you guys to understand that is not a business. Maybe a cool hobby, but it is not a business. I'm just going to say it right now so you guys understand my heart on it. It is not a business. That is a hobby. Say what you want to say. That is just a fact. Moving on to what I was saying before. Now, if all 5 of us have the same car and we're just all battling against each other, and the only way to fair market is just by lowering the price, you have to imagine, if you're the customer on the back end, you're looking at 5 black Escalades, they all look very similar, they're all the same year, you're going to go with the cheapest one because in reality, there's no real difference. So you obviously, listen, I'm a consumer also. I'm trying to find the best deal all the time on stuff. There's no benefit of me paying more for a car at all. And this is another issue that I have. Now, let's just say, for example, all of us had Escalades and mine was brand new and yours was a 2019 or 2018. Toro doesn't really distinguish stuff. It just says, oh, this is the cheapest one. Obviously you can find other cars on there that are very similar to yours, and you're going to see there's a wide gap of price. when I'm talking to other people in the industry who have a very similar car, like a Cadillac Escalade, we are all priced within 10 to 15% of each other. Yes, there are some guys that are probably cheaper than me. Yes, there's some guys that are more expensive than me, and that's fine, but we're all in that same category. But one thing about business is all the top dogs kind of speak to each other. We speak to each other just for the simple fact that we want to make sure that pricing is in the same realm of each other so that we're not stepping on each other's toes. It's like Pepsi and Coke. You think Pepsi and Coke are not speaking to each other? They speak to each other all the time, trying to make sure that they're maximizing profitability. And obviously, they're competitors, and and each one of them wants to be the best. But at the end of the day, their goal is to make as most money as possible and to make sure that they are controlling their industries. And Toro does not allow the person who is at risk because it's their vehicle and there's one doing all the work, the pickups, the drop offs, and they're doing all the work. Toro doesn't allow that host full control. Full control would mean we have easier access to contact clients. Full control would mean we're able to market ourselves through their network. What does that mean? I think that as a company, you should be able to offer incentives in sales. Toro does not allow that. So for me, that is very problematic. I have a lot more that I want to speak about on Toro and the kind of ups and downs of it. I do have some good things to say about it, but for episode 1 of Why I Don't Like Toro, that's what I wanted to start with. If you have an exotic car that you want to give us, we're a lot better than Toro. I can promise you that. We make a lot more money. It's a lot more customizable for people. We do have that vehicle management program, so you will be able to rent your car with BluStreet instead of buying a car and putting it on Toro, because I promise you, you'll make a lot more money with us. It'll be a lot more stress and headache free, and it will be a better experience overall. I can promise you that. But Toro has its ups and downs, it really, really does. And we'll drop some more gems for you guys on the back end. So BluStreet Exotics signing out. I will talk to you guys later. See you soon.